welcome to episode 133 of the award-winning Eavesdrop podcast. There is, happy Saturday, by the way. The Eavesdrop podcasts are not going to go live on Saturday. The new schedule is I'm going to try to upload a vlog every single day during the week, especially now that we're really busy. There are going to be times where I go into this hiatus, as I usually do, where I just go a couple of days without uploading. I apologize for that. Life gets in the way. It is what it is. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Curology. I'll tell you a little bit more about them later on in the podcast. But today we have an honorable guest, Mr. Max Goldstein, CEO of Pine Park, good friend of mine. We did a podcast when we first launched Pine Park, and the amount of interest that we received from everyone was really good. Max, did you get a lot of love in the comments?
A lot of love. I mean, going on your channel, introducing myself. A little nervous, but
yeah,
very. I think the coolest thing that came out of the first podcast that we did together was starting to see all the operators that follow you.
Yeah.
That
now, when you say operators, what do you mean?
People who have been working in cannabis a really long time, breeders. People who work at retail, bud tenders, cultivators, all over the country and world. I think saw that first announcement, that first podcast.
Yeah.
And I think really resonated and say, okay, Hector's going to try to do this the right way. And that was really important to me to articulate to your fans and the audience that we were going to, make sure that we were honoring the cultivator, honoring the creators, making sure that we were following the culture of cannabis to the best that we absolutely can.
Yeah.
And I think that we've checked that box.
Yeah. It
so
resonated
far.
with them.
Yeah, it's resonating. And that's what makes me most excited.
Got it.
Is serving your fans and audience.
Well, that's good. All right. So when we first talked, we were about to launch. Since then, we had a party, the launch party,
which was fun.
How fun was that party, Max?
I got to meet a lot of your friends.
Yeah. Who all of my friends? Who are the notable ones that you 100% remember?
100% remember. I can't say I remember any of them.
Yeah.
But I definitely. There were a number of people like in your world and ecosystem. They're like, who was that guy carrying around the big turkey bags of weed?
Yeah, and that was you?
That was me, I guess, towards the end of the party. But yeah. It's all just continuing to meet all new people. That's why I'm here now.
Yeah.
I mean, I think every day, we're trying to wake up at Pine Park, bring together gaming and cannabis culture, whereas gaming culture exists more than the HECZ quarters.
Yeah.
Just being here is an amazing.
Yeah, I think as we launched this thing, I did a pretty good job of separating the two, right? This is a completely separate world that is outside of gaming, but because of who I am, it was almost silly to believe that, some of those paths wouldn't cross, right? And with the amount of people that we've had on the podcast that from gaming, obviously Hutch, we've had Embos, we've had Jericho, Cray Sounds. Who else? I mean, we've been having a really, really, really good time, Max. How's my tolerance increased, Max?
I would say your tolerance is increasing. I would say your palate's getting a lot better too, which is great.
Yeah.
When just landing and buying a bunch of infused pre-rolls. We're not doing that anymore in LA. We're getting the turfs of the flower, really immersing ourselves in the different flavors. So, yeah, I think it's been a lot of fun. I mean, we've smoked a lot of weed together over the last year. I've probably smoked as much weed with you individually as anyone.
Yeah, you think in the short 8 months
in a 1 year period?
Yeah,
we had a lot of great sessions.
The crazy part about that is that I'm still a sucker for a good infused pre-roll, right? Like we're gonna do our own at some point, right? But for me, like understanding the culture and like sort of moving in there. Instead of like trying to overly understand and come with a hat in hand and sit and show my respect to everybody that's been in the cannabis industry, I just like towards the middle part of our journey, I sort of been like, I'm just gonna be me, right? I don't have to prove that I've been smoking since I was 17 years old, right? Like there's no need for that. And what I felt most about the cannabis industry is how welcoming everybody is.
Yeah,
and that is a step ahead of what we experienced in gaming, because originally in the beginning everybody was really protective over their audience, right? They're like, I don't want to participate with this person because they'll take away from my audience, and that sort of thing. And here is the opposite, right? Like try flowers. Like it's not the same. Very seldom do you have a an opportunity to buy the same strain from two different growers, two different brands, right? Like I'm sure Gushers would probably be like, what's a very popular common
wedding cake?
Wedding cake, right? So wedding cake is grown by
everyone,
right? So I think that is the other thing that we have like sort of a little bit of an advantage on. I wanted to start with some OG sort of strands, OG Optic Gaming, OG Original Gangster, OG, you know what I mean? So I wanted to carry that sort of culture with it, and 90s weed is the best in my opinion, right?
It's great.
In today's technology, it's good.
Yeah, I think cannabis industry has not been welcoming to everyone.
Okay.
They've been welcoming to you, which I think is a really important distinction. And I think a lot of that distinction is because there's so many similarities in the culture between the pioneers of esports and the pioneers of cannabis. The pioneers of esports, like yourselves, I mean, you were doing this when no one's watching. I mean, this started because of a passion, because of a community, because of a connection with a relationship of a game, right? And it just grew organically from there. And the cannabis culture is exactly the same way. It's people who had a passion for the plant and saw an opportunity and took big risks, and risk being laughed at, thrown in jail, any number of things. And so the people that have gone through that fire are in a different category than the people who haven't. And I think you having gone through that fire in esports, people in the cannabis industry can see that level of commitment and sacrifice and have been unbelievable in sort of like saying, I want to make sure that Hector comes into cannabis because there's stuff that we can learn from him too. And I think as we've connected with creators like the Eric Kahns of the world and others, their journey started in gaming. So I think the connection, obviously we knew it was there. It's now way more apparent today than I think a year ago when we started. And I think you as particular, as a pioneer in esports, has had a much easier time connecting with people in the cannabis industry because of that level of sacrifice and identification. And so as somebody who's working on the business, it really helps me to have everybody want to connect and talk and be like, wow, the first thing that we talk to when we talk to a dispensary is, what are you doing to bring gamers into your door? Because 53% of the people who consume cannabis have also done it while playing a video game, right? So the intersection's there, and if you're a dispensary or anyone, a brand, you need to figure out how to reach gamers, and there's no one on the planet
I think
that does that better than you.
Well, not for the demographic that we're going after, right? Like, legal age,
of course,
young adults, right? Like a lot of people have this conception or misconception that like when you hear gamer, you hear little kids because and that's not the case, right? Like we've seen there's like grandpas playing Call of Duty on Twitch, so the age level is different, right? Like the other thing I think that has allowed me and the people that watch me is the fact that for 10 years we kept this very, very secret, right? Like we didn't talk about it. We even had cigarettes like cut out of every single video that we did because we knew that our demo back then was like these younger 13, 15, 16-year-old dudes. Some women too, obviously, but the majority were males. And, we waited a long time, 10 years, right? Or so, I think. Yeah, actually to the year. And I'm like, well, the majority of our audience now, and not saying that there aren't any teenagers, and if you're a teenager, do not, okay, follow the law. Follow the rules and the law and all that stuff. Don't follow the rules. Follow the law.
Follow the law.
Yeah, don't follow. Break rules. Okay, push the envelope is what I do. But I think that helped a lot. So as we were going through it and collaborating with other people, like we started to find immediately after that podcast went out, the amount of outreach that I received from the Green Wall members of the Green Wall was insane. People that were operating, people that were growers. We're currently working with this dude named Art, who has been a member of the Green Wall, has been like watching our videos since he was 13 himself.
He doesn't miss a video.
He doesn't miss a video. So that's the homie. Shout out to you, brother. And he has one of the most compelling libraries of genetics in the world. Yeah. So explain what that means.
Yeah. So at some point, Art wanted him to tell his full story, right? And,
of course.
And I only know the very surface of it. But
yeah. So he'll tell his own, but let's talk about what it means to be him.
What it means is he has made a concerted effort, not just to be a grower and to sell but to really collect rare genetics and seeds. And so I think,
what does a rare genetic and seed mean?
So things that are not common in the market today. And I think what you see a lot of in the market today is actually crosses that have been crossed, which have been crossed, which have been crossed, which have been crossed.
Let's dumb it down a little bit more.
Okay.
When you say a seed, you're talking about a single plant. Let's say plant, name the plant, right? Whether it's in
Girl Scout cookies.
A Girl Scout cookie plant.
Yep.
Right, because unless you collect the seeds and you preserve them, that plant may just go, after you smoke it, it may go away. I mean, you'd have to find it in the wild at that point, right?
Yeah, there's basically individuals like Art that go around trying and collecting rare cuts of things that they feel that they're
What's
really...
a cut?
A cut is like a clone. So it's something that, came from your mom's stock that then...
What is a mom stock?
Okay, you're right. I'm on the HECZ channel.
Yeah.
So to get something that's really commercial ready, you go through a process, right? So when you smoke, get a bag of weed, that's actually coming from the same genetic plant mom. Of a whole room could come from the same genetic mom, just cutting from it. Yeah.
There's one plant that grows.
Yep.
And then people select some of the branches.
Yep.
Like
cut off the branches.
Cut off the branches, and then they replant those.
Yep.
And then they grow. So it's a direct clone because it's part of it. It's like if you could cut off your limb.
Yep.
Right, and then put it
in soil and have it grow hectare.
And then another hectare pops up. Imagine the world.
What a great idea, man.
I compete in challengers. I'll tell you that. A team full of hacks it'd be
That'd be
up
great.
there.
So he has, so there's seeds that you can collect.
Yep.
So say you have like 100 seeds. Each one of those seeds is going to be slightly different genetically. So to then get something that's really commercial ready, you would then pop.
What does commercial ready mean?
So something that is consistently growing in the same way, getting really good yields. So you don't want to grow a plant that is not going to produce a lot of weight, because then the farmer has to use the same amount of resources for significantly less product. So you want something that's going to really yield, and you want something that the customer really wants. Wants to taste, that's new, that's different, that's innovative. And one of the biggest problems today in modern cannabis is that we don't have prehistoric genetics before really like Girl Scout cookies, chem, and some of these other sort of marquee staples that have really built modern cannabis. So you love the chems because it reminds you of the 90s. But a lot of the strains that exist today that are really popular that had chem way back like 4 or 5 generations in their lineage, right? So what Art is able to do, and why it's so exciting, is create a periodic table of different flavors and genetics that all could then be crossed together to create completely new things. And that is the hardest thing for someone to do right now, is to put something in the market that is really new. And so that's what Art is allowing us to do as a partnership, and allow it to eventually then put something in the world that's never been tried before. And for us to build a new gelato, build a new Girl Scout cookies, build a whole new family of flavors that don't exist yet.
What's most compelling to me about this is that we could have very easily gone and worked with people that have already been, not that Art isn't in the industry, but people that we know, right, that you know personally. But we made it a point to work with people that knew me and had been supporting me and Optic for so long that we're like, this is a full circle moment for us. Let's work with them. Cultivators and alike, like eventually we will get to that. I mean, look at our buddy Eddie up in Oklahoma City, split the wig right online, been playing
Green
Call of
Wall.
Duty, member of the Green Wall, Oklahoma City. Private Garden Reserve is the name. So if you guys are from Oklahoma,
Private Reserve Gardens.
Private Reserve Gardens.
I do that all the time.
So if you are from Oklahoma, only buy. From
Private Reserve Gardens.
PRG. PRG. Only buy from PRG. Because they are going to be the ones that are going to be bringing Pine Park to Oklahoma City. How many legal states are there right now, Max?
Oh, man. So on the medical side, we're probably north of 30. Like probably 30, 33. And then on the rec side, I think we're like 19 or 20. We were just talking about, I should have looked it up. But, New Mexico just came online. People have been kind of excited about that. There's all this interest around Texas. What's Texas going to do? I heard a crazy rumor yesterday, and I don't know if it's true or not.
Hit me, and then we'll cut it if we need to.
No, but like I heard a rumor that Texas is potentially saying no cultivation. All we're going to do is import packaged cannabis goods from Oklahoma.
Oh.
Because there's so much there.
Yeah.
And a lot of the enforcement and challenges there is around the illicit market really comes at the farm level.
Okay.
Because it's very hard to manage thousands of independent farmers and all the different biomass that's coming off that farm. So if Texas is like, hey, no farms here, we're just going to import, one, that would be the first state ever to import legally.
Yeah.
But two, incredible opportunity for our boy Eddie in Oklahoma, right?
Yeah.
So, each state that comes online recreationally, like a Texas, is going to change the game.
Yeah.
And obviously at the national level, once that happens. But a big announcement today in California, they're actually considering removing cultivation tax.
What does that mean?
So for every pound of weed that's grown in California, $160 goes to the state of California. So right now an outdoor flower coming from Humboldt County, it's $200-$300 a pound for their tops.
Yeah.
And then $160 on top of that goes to taxes. So at that pound, that's a 50% tax rate. And so it's suffocating operators, and they just announced July 1st that potentially they would be removing that cultivation tax, which would make weed cheaper in California.
Yeah, which is always good.
Which is always good.
Yeah, always good. Talking about Eddie, Oklahoma City, obviously almost on a daily basis, the Pine Park account and me, we get sort of questions as to when are we coming to Illinois? When are we going to New Jersey? When are you going to New York? When are you going? What is our plan? You as the CEO of the company, what do you think are?
Yeah, what I've learned over the last year working with you is that, I want to work, in Pine Park, we want to be working with members of the Green Wall.
Yeah.
In an emerging industry, trust and is really the hardest thing to capture, right? Mm-hmm. Like as everyone's building it, California cannabis is a knife fight. It's really hard to trust people. And when you have people like Art and Eddie who understand what this is all about, who understand the Optic brand and what it means to people, and they're raising their hand and being part of this, that's priceless in the cannabis industry today, because brand and reputation and relationship is all you really have to make sure that things run really well. Yeah. And so as we get inbound questions, is there a member of the Green Wall operating a huge MSO in a limited license state? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But that's where a lot of opportunity is right now in some of these big corporate, institutions in a lot of these states. But that's not us. This is an independent group. This is a community of people that is not looking for, that type of assistance. They want, we want to build this from within. So as we find the right partners, we'll move to new states. Mm-hmm. And we've got some great ones lined up, and continuing, I think, comment section, reach out. Like if you're operating in Michigan, if you're operating in Colorado, you're growing fire weed. We've got fire genetics with Art, and we're going to, bring Pine Park. So continuing, just want to connect and learn and continue to build this community.
Yeah, what I like most about what we are doing is that majority of the product that we're putting out, I look at, I touch, I am there, right? Like that's
smoke it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, we have to curate it, right? Like it's the same way that I gather humans to appear on the podcast or to appear on the vlog or to like that sort of curation of like, I think the fans would like to hear from this person sort of thing. I think that's the same way that we approach the cannabis industry. And what I like about our 10,000 square foot facility is that it allows us to really, really look at and pick and choose from, and also experiment with which plants are going to be the ones that are going to be our starting roster of genetics for Pine Park, because it takes that level of care. And another thing is that, Art, like Eddie, like somebody out there who I'm going to work with in the future, they understand that it's all competition. They understand that they are going to be competitive in their craft. They are going to be the ones that are just going to be as competitive as Optic. We're going to create good stuff. We're going to create good content. I think I scream this at the top of my lung. Every person that I meet in the cannabis world, and a lot of people are doing it right already. Dopest Yola, shout out to him.
Yeah.
Shout out to his producer, Drastic Graphics, right?
Marty,
Marty, fucking awesome duo there. Obviously, Eric Khan, Tim from Secret Sesh, like you know, there's these people that are doing it right, but aside from like, there's only call it 100 people that are like really, really, really doing it right, and I may be generous in that number as that 100 creators on YouTube are doing it right.
From cannabis, there's probably not 100.
But that's what I'm saying. Think about that, right? In gaming, there are thousands. There are so many people producing content in gaming, Max, that to be in the top 1% of Twitch, you have to have an average of, I believe, 6 viewers.
I think 11.
11. Did we talk about this already?
I think with Yola, we talked a little on the concurrence. Yeah.
Listen, I'll tell you what. If we're talking about any podcast that I've done on Pine Park, you better believe that some of that stuff is gone out of my brain.
Yeah. That was a one time. It was a
different. It's in a different folder in my brain, right? Like I can only access that folder at a.
We actually had this exact conversation 2 weeks ago on the Pine Park podcast.
You and I did.
Yeah.
About Twitch?
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, good. But yeah, so 11 people to be in the top 1%.
Yeah.
Think about the millions and millions of people that have to be on Twitch for the top 1% to only need 6 people.
Yep.
Which is insane to me.
Over the last 90 days.
If you average more than 6 viewers, you are in the top 11 or more in the top 3.1%. To get in the top 1%, you need 51 people watching you.
Yep.
Yeah. That is insane to me, considering the fact that there are people that get 90,000 concurrents. You know what I mean? Like people that are getting 110,000 concurrents, you know? So to me, and that's just Twitch. We're not considering YouTube into this equation. So when you look at the broad spectrum of creators that are in cannabis or don't exist in cannabis yet, the possibilities are limitless, right?
Limitless.
And what I like and don't like, obviously, about the current state of content on YouTube is the fact that if you look at any YouTube creator in the cannabis industry, Thomas as dope as Yola, Eric Khan, Tim from Secret Sesh, who has a Twitch channel.
Godwin's another one who's
exactly. Godwin, that's the man, right?
Yeah.
Like he came out and said hello, another member of the Green Wall that's a content creator.
Yep.
Yeah, if you look at all these creators, they can't monetize the way that I can monetize, right? If you're watching this vlog, there's going to be ads throughout this vlog that I get to benefit from. For that's my job. That's how I get paid, right? These creators in cannabis don't have the same luxury of having the Coca-Colas of the world, the Pepsis of the world, the name it of the world to say, I want my ads to run on this producer, right? And there are 300,000 plus views per video on Dope as Yola. So you sort of think it's like as a brand, if you as a brand, call it, let's say somebody who doesn't sponsor us, just so we can, let's say Ice Shaker, okay? Ice Shaker cups. If they want to sell Ice Shaker cups and they're like only segmenting it to just gaming because they want the gamers, that's awesome. But as a products company, you don't give a shit who's buying your product because your goal is to sell a good product and have recurring cash. So right now they're missing out on all of these people that consume cannabis content by their favorite creator who happens to be a pot smoking cool dude that doesn't have the opportunity to have Taco Bell sponsor a podcast. You know what I'm saying? Like Taco Bell. You know what I mean?
This is why I always say there's so many similarities with cannabis and esports.
Yeah.
You were telling me the story of discovering Dr. Disrespect this morning.
Yeah.
2010, showing me the first video.
Early on,
and just being like, oh my God, this guy is hilarious.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at with Eric Khan and Dope as Yola, right? Like they've been around, they've been doing it a while, but they're gonna really take off as this federal legalization happens, and you're gonna look back, man.
I think a closer comparison, Max, would be the fact that a lot of brands did not, and still to this day do not, want to sponsor teams that only participate in Counter-Strike. Okay. There were at one point brands, including some of the ones that we have now, that didn't want to sort of sponsor a team because they were involved in Call of Duty, and Call of Duty is a shooting game. It's rated M for mature. It's a violent game. There's guns, there's weapons, you're killing people, they respawn, sure. And obviously it's a make-believe world, but that's the sort of thing that we're at, right? Like and I think that over the last 14 years of living on the internet, I've done a really good job of being who I am and making people understand that I'm not a bad person, right?
Yeah.
Like I always try to do right?
Yeah.
So, you know, when it comes to like an emerging industry like cannabis, it was almost impossible for me to look away from it and not take advantage of it, because a person like me has to work a little bit harder to make sure that I'm able to reach the levels that I want to reach. And for me, as long as content is a part of it, I am all about it, because I've made a deal with myself that I am an entertainer. You know, like, you know, corporate business and all that shit aside, I like to be in front of the camera. I like to have, you know, people laugh at the shit that I say, be intrigued by the shit that I say, and be entertained ultimately by the stuff that I say. So as we're looking at this, I'm looking at these creators who have 1 million subscribers. I don't even have 1 million subscribers, but they have 1 million subscribers plus, who haven't yet been touched by the opportunities of sponsorships.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is the Pine Park opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Eric and Thomas, you know, they're the furthest along. You know, they're 1 and 2 right now, probably in terms of YouTube and digital. But there are millions of other creators out there that we don't know about. So like a really cool group that we're talking to about a product collab, this Terp Mansion, up in Humboldt, I was showing you in their videos, 27-year-old Luke, who's been, you know, doing this a long time, got an amazing story. They're starting, you know, they bought a drone, they're putting together some cool content, and the people are going to love these guys and this content, and knowing that their product is coming from this area. Yeah. And right now they have no way to build their audience. They, you know, lose their Instagram every other week. Yeah. You know, Pine Park's YouTube, I think we're over 16,000 subscribers right now. That would take a normal person years and potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars in content creation. Mm-hmm. So like, just the fact that we create that in 90 days after, you know, launching that channel, it shows that we are going to be the platform that's going to help, you know, find new Terp Mansions, bring them into Pine Park, and then they're going to be known globally. And that's what we're going to just keep doing over and over and over again with the best. Yeah,
I the opportunity for me, it's like, it's one of the most common sense things that I think that I've ever come across, right? Like the fact that it's so early on as an industry. It's so early on as an industry on YouTube and digital just in general, because for most of the time that it has been a culture, it's been shunned upon, right? It's been something that you can't be proud of openly and just be like that. Like, I mean, look at me. It took 10 years for me to be open about. I mean, a lot of people I think a lot of people knew, right? That
it seemed like your fans kind of knew,
right? But the fact that I couldn't be open until, you know, the space matured, I matured, right, to a certain level. They matured to a certain level. We couldn't even talk about it openly, which is something that we're not gonna ever see, right? Yeah. My thought is that, you know, people who are growing up in this day and age right now, call it toddlers to whatever, like marijuana is going to be...
It's beer. Yeah.
It's beer.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to be beer, but healthier. Yeah. Right? But yeah, so it's just going to be like not even a thing. It's not going to be something that people are just like, whoa, right? And as technology evolves and as we get to truly understand the power of the plant, just like the possibilities are endless. Like from a media perspective, opportunities there. From a product perspective, opportunities there. Branding, sponsorships, medicinal. Yeah. Like we haven't even scratched the surface on what the true medicinal benefits are from this thing. Yeah. And what happens if we extract just this one portion of it and not this portion of it, and what effects does it have on the human body? Like none of that has been there yet. We know that it's a good anti-inflammatory, right? So we know that if we create a call it for whatever a gamer,
got your hand warmers over there.
Yeah, the hand warmers, right? Like, let's say that before you go to sleep, you know, whether you work at an office or where you're the gamer, where somewhere where you're using your digits like nonstop all day, carpal tunnel is a thing. Yeah. If you get to apply this CBD ointment by Pine Park and you go to sleep, like that has some regenerative properties that will allow for you to recover quicker. Yeah. The amount of people that are now like super workout people, right, that lift weights and do that, they consume cannabis so they can have a good night's rest and have like good muscular regeneration throughout the night. You know, so it's, again, we don't know where this is going, which is why I'm so psyched about it. I can't help but to smile every time I talk about it.
I mean, like you could basically take a lot of interests, whether it's movies, gaming, cooking, working out, and then just do that in cannabis.
Yeah.
And from a content, education, medicinal, lifestyle, it all has a new flavor.
Yeah.
Right. So if you just think about how big those interests are, and then there's going to be a cannabis angle on it, you see how big the industry is. And I think from a content perspective, you know, whether it's the Thomases and Erics, starting to also have them do collabs with non-cannabis creators is huge. Because like when you went on do pods with them, the audience is saying, my worlds are colliding.
Yeah.
And that's something very unique that many people can't do. And cannabis is a key engagement point to having worlds collide now. It's almost like having Eric Kahn or yourself or something on one of these videos is allowing everyone to kind of feel okay about smoking weed because they've been shamed to do it most of their lives. Yeah. And that's a big psychological signal.
The NBA is not testing for it anymore.
Yep.
Right? NFL's not going to test for it anymore. I think I said that right. If not, ignore it. But it's more popular than ever. The amount of athletes that have retired and have started their own cannabis brands, like I think
Ricky.
V1, right, is one of them. Viola
is Al Harrington, Ricky Williams. I mean, a lot of athletes have been trying to do it.
Yeah.
I think that there's definitely angles around celebrity and, you know, their audiences, but man, I would take gaming.
You would?
I would take a gaming.
But you say that because you say that because you've seen, you know, the behind, you know, like how we operate, right? Like, but could you, as an investor in cannabis, like how do you pick between, you know, a Hector over an athlete that has like 4 million followers instead of 1 million followers? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean that's secret sauce, right? That's belief in, you know. The most successful companies are not chasing things, they're creating things, right? So, you know, we're going to create a massive cannabis brand, but if everyone could see that could be created in plain sight, then everyone would have tried to do it, right? Yeah. So I think, you know, understanding one, you being an important ambassador for gaming, so you're unique in the whole industry as a whole. I think that's where a lot of people in cannabis be like, oh, we're going to do a gaming brand. They would have just tried to grab anybody.
Yeah.
And you can't because of, you know, what you've gone through with gaming and what, you know, what we discussed before. So yeah, I definitely think, as I mentioned before, Brightfield Group did a huge study on video games and on cannabis, and the stats on the ages, which is over 21, how often, you know, married with kids, making over $100,000 a year. This is the core primary consumer that every cannabis company wants to reach, and this is the core demographic of gaming.
I like it. All right, let's go to a quick commercial break. Let's say hello to Curology, right? A sponsor that's been on the podcast for a very, very long time. Let me tell you a little bit about them, right? If you want an ultra easy skincare that it's actually made for your skin, Curology is the way to go. You'll get a custom prescription cream made for you by a dermatology provider for your specific goals. Me, as you guys know my routine, I get home, cold water to the face, no soap, right? Just cold water, get the skin flowing, and all good. For the rest of the night, I'm just going to do nothing, right? But once I get to that half hour before I have to go to bed, that's when I start my application process. I wash my face again, and then I'll start the application. But in this case, they give you one specifically made for your skincare, right? Whether it's tackling acne, clogged pores, skin texture, dark spots, fine lines, or something else, you start by taking a short online skin test or skin quiz, and if it's a good fit, they'll ship your formula right to your door very discreetly. And you can get on your way. Look, start now. Don't wait until you are 30 years old, right? Don't wait until you're 35 years old. Start today. The sun does a lot of damage. You don't even think about that. You don't think about the blue light that you're constantly being bombarded with on a daily basis. So to take care of your skin is to take care of yourself, and self-respect is something that I respect so much. You got to believe it. So what has surprised me most about the brand and the company is the fact that they don't just send a formula that's just made for everyone. They literally take good note and good information from your quiz to make sure that it's something that's applicable to you directly and only you. And why? Because look, there's no more getting lost in the skincare aisle, reading, guessing what will work for you, what doesn't, trying that out for a month and realizing that it's not for you. Curology takes the pain away out of finding the right products by sending you a full dermatologist design routine, a cleanser, moisturizer, and a custom formula made for your goals, right? Forget custom algorithms. Like, nobody believes in that, and you shouldn't. Curology makes and matches you with a real human dermatology provider licensed to your home state. They'll review your skin quiz and photos, create a custom formula, and stick around to answer your questions. No office visit required, no copay. Right, your skin changes, so your product should keep evolving with your skin. Curology checks in to see how you're doing and can just adjust the ingredients in your formula if needed, according to your goals. All right, the custom formula is Curology's core product, created specifically for each member and what they need. And right now, if you get started with the link that I provided down in the description down below, you can get a 30-day trial at Curology.com/HECZ with a 3. That's H3ZC. Just pay $5 for shipping and handling. That is CUROLOGY.com/H3CZ to get started on your first free 30-day trial. Cancel anytime. Prescription obviously is subject to the consultation. Again, the link will be in the description down below. All you have to do is pay $5 in shipping and handling, and you will have a lotion cream of sorts delivered right to your door in a discreet packaging, so you don't have to be out there in the aisles looking for something, right? Like, you could be in the privacy of your own home, applying what you need to do, going to sleep knowing that you're going to wake up looking handsome like the man you're watching right now. Back to my man Max. Max, how do you like those ad reads, man? You get to see a little bit of me every single time you come out here. I do this on a daily basis.
Commenting on it. It definitely. I have fun with the Frisco HECZ too, because when you land in LA, we've got a schedule. You don't like sitting around hanging, which is sort of like the point of smoking weed.
Just hanging out, right?
Hanging out.
Yeah.
So it's good to hang out with you here.
Yeah.
And see the flow. And yeah, I think it's just the biggest. I saw the hand warmers.
Yeah.
Like, just like being able to see like the little things that are happening on a gamer's desk. Like, we want to, as building Pine Park, like, we want to have a place in that setup in the non-professional sense. And so just seeing everybody's setup and things like that. It's
what does your setup look like at home?
For gaming?
No.
For smoking.
For smoking. Yeah.
I've got a drawer.
You got a drawer, so that's your.
So
okay.
I got the drawer. Usually it will be like, a half of ounce left of like a larger turkey bag of something.
Yeah.
That I end up like holding on to.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I'll take the.
What's a turkey bag?
Turkey bag is what you transport pounds of weed in.
Got it.
So, I might end up with like a little sample at the end.
Yeah.
Get a couple samples from, people always give me like carts, vape carts, and I never like try people's vape carts because I'm just like, no.
No, you like to get that from an actual like
a brand, brand, yeah.
710 Labs.
710 Labs.
The Percy Pod, shout out them. Yeah. Shout out my man Skelly and Brad from 710 Labs.
And they just shared something, and we shared too on Pine Park, just like the fallacy of the THC stuff. And we talk about this some, but there's 15% weed out there that's grown correctly with the right genetics that will blast you, right?
Yeah.
And so one of the things that we really need to do is move away from someone looking at the back of the bag, see how potent it is to decide quality, and really start trusting brands.
Yeah.
And so if it says 17%, but it's Pine Park, that's coming at a quality that's really unique and has a specific terp or flavor profile that you're going to love.
Yeah,
so,
and your brain's going to react differently to that. It's not just necessarily the potency of the THC. It's like terps make you feel differently, right? Like it interacts differently with your THC receptors in your brain.
The entourage effect.
Yeah, the entourage effect, exactly.
Talk about.
And why do we have THC receptors in the brain, Masks?
Because really, God wanted us to.
God wanted us to smoke weed.
That's it's just anything with the spine has cannabinoid receptors in its body.
Yeah.
That's going to have an impact by cannabis.
Yeah. What's a cannabinoid?
A cannabinoid is what makes up a lot of the chemical active nature of cannabis itself. So there's
its attributes and stuff.
Yeah, so there's like 130 plus cannabinoids or that they've identified. So like one is THC, CBD. One is HHC, which now Thomas and Yola, they're selling, direct to consumer, but you can just keep unlocking new cannabinoids that could potentially do new things.
Yeah.
I think what's really important for the customer is that the entourage effect is critical to having a really great experience.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a customer and would you prefer to have, in a meal, something that's completely been reassembled, like chicken that's been totally ground up and reassembled to look like chicken?
Yeah.
Or do you want the full free range chicken?
Yeah.
And that is sort of the level that we're starting to get to with cannabis products. Is it solventless? Or are you using an extraction method that is using a chemical that is ultimately breaking up the plant and then reassembling it?
Got it.
And so solventless is what 710 specializes in, and it's starting to really take off because people want that.
The purity of it.
The purity.
The cleanliness
the cleanliness of it, and really don't want these sort of monster concoctions of random cannabinoids.
Yeah. Because
that's not how it grew in nature.
Yeah, you gave me a data point that I often try to quote, but I never get it right. If you test a box of lettuce, right?
Yeah.
Versus a pound of weed, what are the obviously this is the cleanest thing you're ever gonna put in your body in the United States, just in the United States, period, right? If it's legally sanctioned and tested and manufactured. Correct?
So the amount of mold and heavy metals in your food significantly outweighs the amount of mold and heavy metals in your weed. So, and in some ways that's, it's combustible, so it's going in your lungs. Yeah, you don't want heavy metals, but I also don't want heavy metals and pesticides in my food.
No, and that's what we do.
And that's what we're really every day. And so the biggest thing that a lot, one data point, fresh frozen is when you make solventless extracts, you take the plant, instead of drying it and cutting it, curing it, and selling it in a jar, you freeze it immediately.
Got it.
And so from there, you take the frozen and then you wash it and you press it. You literally can't even take fresh frozen south of the Salinas Valley because of the pesticides and heavy metals that exist there. So the wind blows. So if you have a big outdoor farm in Santa Barbara County, you can't even make solventless extracts usually because it's going to test for something that people have been using with our food.
Wow. So it's very, very strict is what you're saying.
Very strict. And I think hopefully cannabis can also help educate people about everything they should be putting in their body.
Yeah.
Because, why not have the healthiest, purest cannabis that you can have, or food for that matter.
Yeah. So Hutch, who is a co-owner of Pine Park, I like to work with friends in the industry, right?
He's a friend of mine now too.
Yeah.
We're going on a double date.
Double date with Hutch. Good luck.
Yeah.
The wokeness might put you to sleep.
The wokeness might put me. We're gonna stay focused on movies. I'm excited.
That is cool. So that he sent me a text yesterday. I'm gonna read it to you. Because obviously he's excited about it, right?
He's like, yo, did you know? Yeah, he's always finding
did he text you the
how many unicorns there are?
Yeah, the unicorns.
Yeah,
right?
and I explained to him, I was like, Hutch, to be a unicorn.
Explain unicorn and all that.
Yeah, so a unicorn is a startup term. So if you start, like Pine Park, small company, and then you grow to $1 billion valuation, you're a unicorn.
Yeah. So the $1 billion valuation is what gets you what gets you the title unicorn as a business.
And Hutch sent an article which was like, oh, look at all these multi-billion-dollar cannabis companies already. This is exciting and great. Most of all those companies are publicly traded, right? So in a lot of ways, they started either as a real estate or just like a license play, right? So in order to launch, 200 dispensaries across the country, you need a lot of cash, and you need a lot of real estate, and you need a lot of assets. And so whether it's Canopy, whether it's Curaleaf, whether it's TrueLeaf, I mean, these companies have $1 billion plus valuations because they own a ton of assets.
Yeah.
We're different at Pine Park because we're really focused on building the brand.
Right.
So we're not focused right now on owning a bunch of stores, owning a bunch of real estate. We're interested in building the audience and the customer base, which you can do that without owning everything. And so that I think is a really clear distinction between, there's some billion unicorns in cannabis, but that doesn't mean this is a mature industry. It just means that people own a lot of real estate. And so that is, I think, a distinction I told Hutch. And I would say almost none of those companies have a brand that they operate that is relevant whatsoever.
Got it.
So Canopy Growth, it's based in Canada. They had originally done the house plant, but I don't think that you can really name any brands that they're operating. True Leaf, I mean, they've done a few partnerships, but like they're not building the brands. They're building infrastructure.
Yeah.
And the brand is where all the value, in my opinion, is going to get captured at the end of the day.
That's what we operate.
That's what we do here.
It would have been really easy for me to take my money and invested it directly into one of these.
In assets like that.
In assets like that. But I'd like to build stuff from the bottom. I want to make sure that if I'm talking about it, that people who have been with me for a long time understand that this isn't like just some bullshit that I'm putting out there, right? That's not worth it. So Hutch is very, very excited about it, right? Like this is I think this is like one of the first businesses that he's ever like sort of worked in and sort of has interest beyond just being a friend and helping out. So I think it's good. He's an excellent creator, right? He's like great
awesome
on camera, well spoken. Sucks at Call of Duty sometimes, right? Bad teammate.
I heard he was a horrible teammate, but I can't.
He's got a good shot, but who doesn't, right? But it's the intangibles, Max, right? Like the knowing where people are spawning, the right play to move, don't run away and shield up, like stand and fight. So I think in situations like that, I just want to help elevate my friends, right? Like
he also represents a different type of consumer than Eric.
Yeah.
Eric, another one of our creators,
also co-owner.
Yeah, he's also co-owner in Pine Park. He's got I'd say more of the college age demographic. He's waking up and doing dabs. He's got incredible streams. Like that is one consumer. Yeah. Hutch is a little bit more like the gummy dad. That is going to be a really big consumer base.
Yep.
Particularly as regulations change. I really like his content because, for Eric's audience, they're high all the time. So seeing a movie high is just seeing a movie. But for Hutch, he gets high to see the movie.
Yeah.
And so that's actually a different type of consumer that is going to be very large, that isn't as comfortable with weed, and his sort of reluctance, I think, is actually a little bit of an important bridge to different types of consumers.
I agree.
So I'm really excited to be working with him because he is going to help expand the tent.
Yeah, and I think the opportunity for him also, he could be one of the first, massive cannabis gaming creators out there, right?
Yeah.
Like he was like, I always say he was one of the first superstars in Call of Duty, right? Like one of the first ones that like managed to truly broaden an audience larger than what the industry had been accustomed to at the time. So for him to sort of have the opportunity to go at it again, like I think it's a super cool one.
And he's hungry. That's what I like about working with creators, like people in your network. Everybody's working.
Yeah, always.
So
and I think it's more about everyone's always creating, not necessarily working. I mean, you call it work because you get something out of it, but it's creating, right? At the end of the day, it's always creating. Everything everything that we've ever done, right? Like even when I sold Optic, immediately one of my first investments was the HECZ quarters. Like I put a lot of money into not owning but renting on my own. I try to own it, but the amount of stuff that I put in here, the amount of I don't know,
it's community culture.
I invested into it, and every single one of my friends that has ever sort of had like an exit of sorts has always reapplied their money into creating more content for their audience. So I think for a lot of us as creators, this is going to be like a lifelong thing where we're always going to be on camera talking, whether it's on a podcast or creation or whatever. It's again, you can replicate what we've done in gaming. We can replicate what we've done in fishing. And I mean, you look at just industries across all of YouTube, carpenters, makeup artists, right? If you think about makeup artists and the power that they hold over makeup people, right? Jeffree Star, like famously sold, I think, $20 or $30 million worth of product with Shane Dawson. You should watch the documentary, really good one. But like they sold in one day when they launched. They were fucking killing it. And that's, again, content to commerce, right? A products company. What I like about what we do in Pine Park is that we are going to be growing with an industry that's going to be one of the biggest industries ever come 10, 15, 20 years from now, right?
Yep.
Like, think about how, I don't know, I can sit here and talk business in the future. What is your hope for the future in Pine Park?
Well, I think we have a much different game plan than I think a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because
I think we're the only ones.
Yeah, we might be the only ones with this game plan.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the publicly traded companies that I mentioned before, you know, they've got quarterly earnings reports. They got to grow every quarter. They've got to hit these insane numbers or their stock goes down. And for us, you know, we're playing the long game. This is about a community and bringing together this culture over time. And it's really important that we continue just to take one step and working with the right partners and doing it the right way, because we're in the first inning of the industry that we actually want to operate in.
Yeah.
So why try to build the company you are going to be in an industry that can't support it?
Correct.
And that, I think, is what a lot of people haven't been able to actually execute on, because they are in this rat race around an arbitrage opportunity, which is how do I suck as much money out of this industry as possible as quickly as I can before it evaporates. Mm-hmm. And we're completely opposite.
Yeah.
We're just like, let's go, guys.
Let's just exist.
Let's exist.
Yeah.
Let's put out great products.
Yeah.
Let's put out the best content in the industry. And what else do we need to do? I don't know. If people have ideas, but great products and great content, most people just can't do that.
No. We can afford a lot of luxuries, and time is definitely one of them.
Time is a big one.
Yeah. And I think that as always in everything that I've ever done, the approach that I've always taken is patience first. Don't put the cart before the horse ever. You know, like let's there's no need for it. We have a good community. We are going to grow together, right? This is a journey that everybody that consumes this is gonna, you know, consume for a very, very, very long time, I think, right? So the fact that we have people that have participated in season 1, season 2, season 3 of Pine Park is like one
people
of the most
traveling in from all over the world.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like the Kaliva bud tenders were like, yo, there's people that just like fly in from Tennessee and like buy a whole bunch and then fly home.
Yeah.
Or like, wow.
Tennessee is not necessarily the. It could be.
Yeah, you know, look, I don't, you know, I don't know who these people are. I don't know, but like just the fact that to have a brand this new that people are flying across the country for and have this passion for, it's really an honor to just be stewarding it. You know,
I couldn't have said it better, man. I think the opportunity to do the right thing the right way all the way through. Care about, like, we've had runs, right? Most recently we had like a run that wasn't that
I mean, we're always going to try to do better. And I think the biggest, cannabis is super hard, just to get product from A to B to C to D in a really good and consistent way. No one scaled it. No. So anyone who said, oh, I've scaled a cannabis business, like, you've scaled an arbitrage opportunity in which you had but you haven't scaled a cannabis business yet. And we're going to see a lot of people try to do it, and scale just breaks things. And so for us, what we're going to scale is our audience. And what we're going to scale is the dedicated partners that understand what we're doing. But we're not going to try to scale our access to the product in a way that is going to jeopardize what we're trying to achieve, which is going to be a craft.
We're here for a long time, not a good time. Also a good time.
Long time, good time. You definitely want to talk about extracts coming out this summer, which I think will be huge. You know, we've done flower. Market's moving that direction anyway to extracts. And I think this will be a lot of fun. I think the gaming community will see, are doing a lot of dabs, and I think we'll see how they can incorporate Pine Park through that form factor as well. So super pumped.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what Art comes up with for our proprietary genetics that you can only get through us. You know, think about this, right? Like, there is the possibility out there that we could end up with an award-winning, almost certainly an award-winning plant that is going to then be received well, but also sort of
culturally impactful.
Culturally impactful. So,
I mean, like, the impact Runts has had on culture. Like the impact that like even strains like ice cream cake have on culture, because everyone makes jokes about how everyone just grows ice cream cake.
Yeah.
So like the meme culture in the community around the hardcore cannabis operators is hilarious. They just get shadow banned and taken down. Mm-hmm. So more of that.
Yeah, think about it, right? Like we're fighting a fight with both hands tied behind our backs as creators, but people are still there.
People are still there,
ready to consume the content,
and they're
ready
never
to enjoy
go
the
away.
content.
Especially these OG guys, like they don't understand. I think like history could teach us a lot about, outside people trying to come in and take over things, right?
Yeah.
And that's a lot of what there's been in cannabis, and these guys are not, and women too, are not going anywhere. The heritage folks, the people who have been doing this forever. This is their livelihoods. This is their life. They've seen boom and bust. They put it all on the line. And I think they're just waiting for a lot of the suits to just realize that they're not going to make it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited for the future. I'm excited to see this thing develop. Obviously, we'll be on the sidelines in our own little world, collabing with cool people just because we're here for the culture. The business is going to come. Right?
Yeah.
My approach has always been, as long as you're creating cool stuff, the money's always going to come. Like, it's inevitable for the money to come. So I've given this advice to creators for the longest time, and it's a mantra that I believe in. At the end of the day, whether you get paid or not, your reward is the fact that you created something from start to finish, and you're proud of it. And I think that so far we are in a journey that is going to allow us as Pine Park to be proud of the product that we're producing, the content that we're producing. And if we happen to have, a good business out of it, that's the benefit.
Yep.
But from there, as long as the business pays for itself and we continue to have fun that we're having, meeting the people that we're meeting, I think we're on the right path, and we'll continue to do so. And
change the world, right? I mean, you've done it a couple of times, like,
yeah, I mean, I don't know about change the world, Max. The thing about, and this is something that I tell her, the thing about people that say they change the world, they sound crazy.
They do sound crazy.
Yeah, you sound crazy, Max. I'm kidding. But it's good to have it inside, right?
Yeah.
The notion of like, I want to impact the world somehow. But the second that you say it out loud, people are like, will you? Like, what can you do?
But there is a life of a creator and entrepreneur that every day you're making a commitment to change the world, whether you're going to be successful or failure or not, right? That to create a new business, right? You have to change the world. And for me, I get really excited because I just see the people following, right? I see the community, people willing to do things for us that they wouldn't do for anybody else.
Yeah.
That's changing the world.
Yeah, I agree.
So, and I think cannabis is going to change the world in just culturally. I mean,
I think about the possibilities just even from the position that we're in, where like we have almost a year of like really, really heavy experience in doing this. So you've been doing it way longer than I have, but with your experience, my relationships, like I see a world in which my peers, right, that want to step into the space can do it safely through Pine Park, right? Like take care of everything. All you have to worry about is, I don't know, maybe not even promoting it, right? Like you probably won't even need to promote it, right? People will know that it's from you some way, somehow, and they will get to try something that you think is your favorite strain of whatever, right? I like the fact that we are taking our time in developing our own genetics without rushing into it.
Yeah.
It would have been really easy for us to be like, all right, well, let's wait until we have something new to offer. But I'm like, well, what's the point? Like all of it is good. All of it is going to get you to a mindset that you want to get to at different levels, at different flavor profiles.
Yep.
So taking the time and doing it right is always going to be my approach, man. I mean, I've been saying it nonstop. Gosh darn it. Anyway, Max, any closing comments? Anything you want to say?
Just appreciate everything. I mean, I've got to work with you for the last year plus. It's been an honor. Learned a lot.
Back at you, man.
Yeah, man. It's just been a lot of fun and great to be here. And just really appreciate the green wall.
Yeah. All right, guys. Like I said, Max's information will be in the description down below. Pine Park's information will be in the description down below. Thank you so much for tuning in. And whether or not this is something that you partake in or not, I appreciate you guys even listening to what the industry is and why I am so passionate about it and why there's always a smile on my face every single time I talk about the beautiful Pine Park. We'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.